Ever wondered how AI can sort and categorize data? Well, we're going to unravel that mystery today. Welcome back to AI for Beginners. We'll be crafting our very first AI model, a basic classifier. But before we start, please subscribe to this channel so we can make more exciting videos like this. Let's understand what a classifier is. In the simplest of terms, is an AI tool that sorts or categorizes data. Picture a mail sorter at work, sifting through heaps of letters and categorizing them based on their content or destination. That, my friends, is akin to what a classifier does. Every day we deal with an overwhelming amount of data. From the endless stream of emails in our inboxes to the vast array of images on our social media feeds, this data is ubiquitous. And herein lies the importance of classification in AI. Classifiers help us make sense of this data, or more accurately, they help machines make sense of this data. They play a crucial role in distinguishing spam emails from important ones, identifying objects in photos, and much more. Now that we have a basic understanding of what a classifier is and why it's important, we're ready to dive into the nitty-gritty. We'll be using a popular platform for this tutorial, but remember, the principles we'll be exploring are universal. They apply regardless of the platform or tool you're using. Are you ready? Let's begin to craft your first classifier. Remember, every great journey begins with a single step, and today, we're taking that step. Today, we embark on an exciting phase of our journey. We'll be crafting our very first AI model, a basic classifier. It's time to get our hands dirty. We'll be using a popular platform for this tutorial, but remember, the principles are universal. Step 1 is data gathering. A classifier, just like a child, learns by example, so we need to feed it lots of examples. Imagine teaching a child to distinguish between apples and bananas. You'd show them pictures of both until they can tell them apart. In the same way, we feed our classifier data until it learns. But it's not enough to just show the classifier a bunch of apples and bananas. We need to tell it what it's looking at. This brings us to step 2, data labeling. In this step, we tag or label our data. So our apples are marked as apples and our bananas as bananas. This way, the classifier not only sees the data, but also understands it. Once we have our labeled data, we move on to step 3, splitting the data. Now, this is a crucial step. We don't want our classifier to simply memorize what an apple looks like. We want it to understand the characteristics that make an apple an apple. To do this, we divide our data into 2 sets. One set is for training. This is where the classifier gets to learn and understand. The other set is for testing. This is where we check if our classifier has truly learned or simply memorized. To ensure our classifier isn't just memorizing but actually learning, we divide our data into 2 sets, a training set and a testing set. Remember, creating a classifier is like teaching a child. It's not about how fast they can memorize, but about how well they understand. And just like a child, our classifier learns step by step, one data point at a time. And that's the end of part 1 of creating a classifier. In the next part, we'll dive into training, testing, and refining our model. But until then, keep practicing these first 3 steps. Data gathering, data labeling, and splitting the data are the foundation of any classifier. Master these, and you're well on your way to becoming an AI pro. Now that we have our data prepared, it's time for the magic to happen. Step 4 is where we dive into the core of machine learning, training the model. It's like teaching a child to recognize the difference between apples and bananas. We expose our classifier to the labeled data in our training set, where it begins to identify patterns, characteristics, and features that differentiate one class from another. In the case of our apple-banana classifier, it might recognize that apples are generally red and round, while bananas are yellow and elongated. Training the model is a process of iteration. The model makes a prediction, compares it with the actual label, learns from any mistake made, and adjusts its parameters to improve the prediction for the next round. This cycle repeats until the model's predictions are as accurate as they can be, or until a predetermined stopping point is reached. Remember, the goal is to create a model that generalizes well, meaning it performs accurately, not just on the training data, but on new, unseen data as well. Now we move on to step 5, testing and refinement. After our model is trained, it's time to put it to the test, quite literally. We use our testing set, which the model hasn't seen before. to evaluate its performance. During testing, the model makes predictions based on what it's learned during training. We compare these predictions to the actual labels to measure the model's accuracy. If it confuses an apple for a banana, we know there's room for improvement. Refinement involves tweaking the model, adjusting its parameters, or even going back to the data preparation stage to include more examples or features. This iterative process of testing and refinement continues until we are satisfied with the model's performance. After training, we test our classifier with the testing set. If it mistakes an apple for a banana, we know there's room for improvement. Remember, creating a classifier is not a one-and-done process. It's a journey of learning, experimenting, and refining. With each cycle, both you and the model become better and more knowledgeable. So let's continue this exciting journey in our next scene, where we'll discuss the final step of creating a classifier, its deployment. Once we're satisfied with our classifier's accuracy, it's ready for the real world. But before we get to that stage, there's a crucial process we must not overlook: testing and refinement. Think of this as a dress rehearsal before the grand performance. We've trained our classifier and it's been doing well so far, but how will it fare when faced with unseen data? That's what we're here to find out. We take our testing set, the one we kept aside during our data splitting, and let our classifier loose on it. This is a moment of truth. If our classifier can correctly identify the apples and bananas in this data, it means it has indeed learned. But if it starts confusing apples for bananas, it's a clear sign that our model needs more training. Sometimes the classifier might make mistakes even after multiple rounds of training. That's okay. It's a part of the learning process, both for us and the AI. We learn to tweak our methods, adjust our parameters, maybe even go back and gather more data. The goal is to improve the classifier's accuracy. Remember, a classifier, like any AI model, is not set in stone. It's a dynamic tool that evolves with experience. Therefore, testing and refinement are not one-time processes, but continuous ones. As we expose our classifier to more and more data, it learns, adapts, and gets better. Once satisfied with its accuracy, we move to the final step: deployment. This is where our classifier steps out of the training ground and into the real world. It's ready to take on real-world tasks, like sorting emails or identifying objects in images. Deployment can be as simple as integrating the classifier into an existing system, or as complex as building a new application around it. The possibilities are endless, and that's the beauty of it. Once satisfied with its accuracy, our classifier is ready for real-world applications. It can now help sort and categorize new, unseen data. The journey from gathering data to deploying a classifier might seem long, but remember, every step is a learning opportunity. And with each classifier you build, you're one step closer to becoming an AI pro. As you delve deeper into AI, you'll come across more advanced classifiers and techniques. Yet, the value of understanding and building a foundational classifier, as we did today, cannot be overstated. This is the cornerstone upon which your AI journey is built, the first rung in the ladder to mastery. Today, we've taken a significant step forward, creating a basic classifier to sort and categorize data. As simple as our apple and banana classifier may seem, it operates on the same fundamental principles that govern more complex AI systems. By teaching it to distinguish between apples and bananas, we've begun to unravel the mysteries of machine learning, and in doing so, we've laid a solid foundation for more advanced studies. Remember, AI is all about learning from data. With each classifier you build, you're not just instructing a machine, you're deepening your own understanding of this captivating field. You're learning to make sense of vast amounts of information, to discern patterns, to draw connections. You are, in essence, honing your problem-solving skills and becoming a better thinker. So don't stop here. Practice what you've learned today. Build your own classifiers. Experiment with different types of data. Challenge yourself, and don't worry if you stumble along the way. Remember, every mistake is a learning opportunity, every failure a stepping stone to success. Feel free to revisit this tutorial as often as you need. Take your time to fully understand each step, each concept. There's no rush. The world of AI is vast and complex, but with patience and perseverance, you can conquer it. Before we wrap up, let me leave you with this. Stay curious, keep asking questions, keep exploring. As the saying goes, the only limit to your impact is your imagination and commitment. So, dream big, work hard, and you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Practice building your own classifier, and don't hesitate to replay this tutorial as many times as you need. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next episode. For now, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Next episode is episode 6, peeking into the future, the magic of neural networks.